Hey guys, what's up? Son of Chelsea here, and today I want to be doing kind of my review and kind of wrap up of the transfer window, kind of my thoughts on the signings we've made, kind of just a whole kind of wrap up in my kind of mind about Chelsea's transfer window. But before I start out, I've got to give a shout out now. Well, you've probably noticed there's a new thumbnail, custom thumbnail on this video, and it's been brilliantly made by Max Perry, one of my mates. Um, and what I want to do is give a shout out to his channel because along with making my thumbnails going forward, he also has his own YouTube channel, The 12th Man. You can go and check that out. They do videos relating to all football clubs, FIFA videos, real life videos, funny videos, the whole lot. So it'd mean a lot if you can go and check out his channel. He's doing me a big favour here. So getting onto the video, I think we made some good signings. I don't think it's been a catastrophic window like some people have been suggesting. To me, it's just ridiculous when you sign players of the likes of Pedro in a transfer window. For me, it cannot be a bad transfer window. I think what a lot of people get annoyed about, and I spoke about this on 100% Chelsea, is the timing of these transfers. If we had made all of our signings a bit like last summer, because it's really hard to compete with last summer. Last summer was probably one of the best transfer windows Chelsea have ever had. It was always gonna be really difficult to compete with that. But if we'd made all of our signings before kind of pre-season, I think everyone would be kind of happy. But the fact is, we've made a poor start to the season. These transfers have come late. We made the signing of Michael Hector, which for me was the most surprising one of them all, on deadline day. So you look at our transfers, they were kind of dotted out over the summer. It kind of started slow. We bought Begovic and Falcao in the space of a couple of weeks. Didn't make any more signings, and then of course you had the whole Kennedy thing, which took a while. But really, in terms of key proper big signings, it took until like after Man City, the second game of the season, to go out and sign Pedro. So I think that's probably where the annoyance comes from. The two big targets we had this summer, which we didn't end up getting, was of course John Stones and Pogba. I'll start with John Stones. It's very hard. I physically, I don't know what Chelsea could have done more to try and get John Stones. Yeah, you could say try and put in a higher bid, but when a club puts their foot down and says we're not selling a player, there's nothing really you can do. And especially on top of that, John Stones himself, the player, handed a transfer request and they still rejected it. So really, there's nothing really else that I don't think Chelsea could have done anything more. When you make 4 bids for a player, each one being higher, at a really good price for a club like Everton, and the player himself hands in a transfer request, but the club still puts their foot down and says we're not selling, then there's really nothing else you can do. The second one was Paul Pogba. The interest was clearly shown by Chelsea. Juve just weren't willing to sell, and once again, I don't see what Chelsea could have done. I think some people think it's easy to slam down like 70 million, which yeah, it is, but there's so many different factors that come into this. Does the player want to leave? Do Juve want to sell? And clearly that wasn't the case, and it's going to be one of the toughest deals to pull off. And for me, if we don't sign Pogba and we're able this season to develop a player like Ruben Loftus-Cheek into our central midfielder, that would be amazing. I'd really want that more than signing Paul Pogba. I know everyone wants Paul Pogba, but think about it. If we could develop one of our own young players in Ruben Loftus-Cheek into a box-to-box midfielder that we want and we feel we're missing since Lampard has gone, that would be amazing. Looking at the other signings, of course Pedro for me has to be signing of the window. I think you look at what he's done and look at the width he's given us, is really impressive, and I think he's going to be a massive signing for 21 million. And the fact we got him under United's noses, I think was a brilliant transfer. It was something we were clearly missing in the team. Falcao, I think Falcao's could have a good season, and he scored against Crystal Palace. He's looked really energetic and up for it this season, which a lot of our players haven't. I think what Falcao's going to need is maybe a run of games, or just the fact that he just needs more game time. And with the Champions League coming up, maybe we could see a bit more of that. If Diego needs a bit of rest, you can always play Falcao. And if Diego still goes off form, maybe start Falcao in games, because Falcao has got the same amount of goals as Diego this season. So he's going to be banging confidence. And I think Falcao, with the enthusiasm he's shown, and with the players around him, if they start to get into form and create more chances for him, I think he can put more goals away. So of course, after Falcao, you've got Baba Rahman. Baba Rahman, we kind of needed him. There was no kind of alternative to it. Of course, losing Felipe Luis, we needed another left back. And getting Baba Rahman in, of course he's been short of fitness, but I really think he can turn into be a brilliant player for us. Of course, you've got the likes of Begovic, which really was just a replacement for Cech. I think Begovic was a great replacement, really one of the best goalies in the Premier League. and a really established one. And you know, he's come in, and you saw the performance he put in at City. For me, didn't put a foot wrong that day. In truth, I know he conceded 3 goals, but they were all brilliant goals. It was more to do with what was going on in front of him, and he kind of kept that game from becoming an embarrassment. You know, as much as it was in 3-0, you know, it could have been worse. You know, all the saves he made. So really confident, really assured. I think he can do a job in the Champions League. He kind of started off shaky in pre-season, but he really came into his own, and I think I'd be more than happy. You know, I have no problems with Thiago Courtois dropping out and seeing Begovic in goal, because I think he can do a fine job. You know, and just looking at the other signings, the ones that are actually going to feature. I know we made signings and kind of loaned them out. I'm talking about ones that we actually are going to feature. Papi Dillabodji, Michael Hector, and Kennedy are the last kind of 3 signings I'm going to talk about. So Papi Dillabodji, I'm not entirely sure. I've heard mixed stories about Papi Dillabodji. I think that he is a good backup player. He's not going to be involved in our Champions League squad, but that's all he is. I think he's a backup player. Chelsea knew. I think also the signing of Michael Hector, you know, which is a strange one. But if he does feature in the first team, you can kind of understand it. I've heard mixed things. You can make any player look good now on YouTube, but he could turn out. I mean, we didn't know what Kurt Zouma was going to be like, but then again, Dillabodji's older, more experienced, but hopefully from what the good stuff I have seen of him, he's physical, he's got great agility, and you know, hopefully he's got a lot of experience. And to have him come in games where maybe for a rotation during that Christmas period, League Cup games, not Champions League game, League Cup games, injuries, you know, I think that it could be a good signing. Kennedy, I think, could turn out to be a brilliant player. He's got brilliant potential. He looked so energetic at the weekend when a lot of players didn't. What I love about Kennedy is just the way he brings a lot of pace. He's clearly got a lot of skill. Also, you look at the build of him. He's not small. He's quite tall and, you know, quite lean. So I think actually he can kind of compete in this league. So hopefully he gets more chances this season in the League Cup, you know, in the Premier League, you know, just for another alternative with the 3 behind the striker, whatever way he can play. I know he's naturally a right winger, but if he can play anywhere along that 3, I think he can be a really good player, one that we can develop in the years to come. If I was to give this transfer window a rating out of 10, I probably would give it around a 6.8, you know, close to a 7, I think. I think we've made some good signings. I think we've been quite slow in the transfer market this year. I think we should have acted quicker. Whether that be the fact that Jose thought he had a good enough squad, or the board didn't want to spend as much money with FFP and all of that, and worrying about different things like that, and the system that Chelsea have gone with 1 in, 1 out, you know. But we have made some good signings. I don't think we are in... I mean, you compare it to other clubs like Arsenal, for instance. Arsenal are in dire need of a world-class striker, in dire need of a defensive midfielder, in dire need of a defender. We are not. I don't think we're in dying need of any position, in my opinion. I know what people are thinking at the moment. It's the form of our players. I think that has a lot to do with it. And I think if the form of our players can increase, I think you'll notice that we're still very strong. And we noticed that last season. If our players can get their heads together, get their form back, with the additions of Pedro and all the additions I've talked about, I think we can still have a really good season. Let me know your thoughts on everything I've said in this video in the comments below, guys. Follow me on Twitter @SonofChelsea. You can subscribe for more CFC content, and yep, I'll see you again.